Welcome to the Jeppson podcast. I am here today with Desiree Dana. She goes by Des, and her Instagram handle is Des Dana. So I was like, is that her full name? Is it Des Dana? I've been confused all along. And we've had a little bit of technical difficulties. And so we're doing this by phone. I've got my little microphone, I've got my computer recording. So I sure hope this plays back. But so sorry, you guys, this is kind of an experiment with my phone on Zoom, microphone's working and the computer, so we hope it
I
works.
am a wife of 24 years this year. We have 3 girls and stroke survivor.
Okay, yeah, let's
Yeah.
just get right into it. I wanted to talk to her because first of all, as I sat here, as we were trying to figure out Zoom and it wasn't working, and she's fidgeting with the computer and trying all different ways to get the sound to work. I'm like, oh my heck, she's doing all of this one-handed. I mean, how long have you been, right? I mean, it's just like second nature to you, but you have been one-handed now
Yeah.
for how long?
A little over 8 years. I have vascular malformations throughout my brain,
Okay.
and they bleed on the brain, causing epilepsy. And I would have seizures so bad. I have
Really?
so many funny stories. Um,
Like
but
seizures where,
no,
like, are these the ones that are violent or are these the
mhm,
ones where you just kind of are staring?
yeah, well, both, a
Oh my
little bit of
gosh.
both. Yeah. So they started when I was um 12, 13. And they started out just the staring for a while. I would see static in my eyesight. Um, but then yeah, and then I started to convulsing, um, yeah, not breathing and stuff. And then with every single pregnancy of mine, I think the increase of blood flow, this is my theory. Their flabber has been gasted, basically, you know? Like they just they don't have a real definite reason. But this is just kind of what I've pieced together. And I just think with the increased blood flow with pregnancy, that it just made the bleeding on the brain worse.
Yeah.
And so after each birth, I like my first child, it was 6 months after she was born. Um, I had brain surgery because the blood, when it is these vascular malformations, they're like kind of like blackberries, and they would just bleed. And whatever is not absorbed by the brain will calcify. And I believe that is iron that is not calcified. So things didn't start until I was 12 or 13, that they had taken CAT scans and MRIs and everything like that. And I mean, they had no idea. Um, it
Where were you when
wasn't
you had your very first one where it was serious?
school.
Oh, of course. Of course you
I
were.
was, yeah, yep. I was in junior high. Um, it was fabulous. It was. I was in an art class. Um, it it could not have been like everything is mapped out in my life is just amazing.
Mm.
Um, I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's gonna think I'm such a loser. I'm not going to have any friends. And then come to find out after that happened, my two of my really good friends, guy friends, they're like, I have seizures too. And the thing is like they weren't like, this sounds so mean, but they weren't like nerdy. They were like popular kids. And so I was just like, okay,
Oh,
I call it compensation blessings from God.
mm.
He's like, you're going to be going through some hard times, but I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of these throughout your life.
I love
And,
that.
because it's just like, I don't know. I could go on forever,
Yeah, well,
but
so have you
it's
ever been, like, injured from a seizure where you've hit your head or you've fallen? Like, did you have
yeah.
to wear what I know there's a little neighbor girl down the road, I think she's got, like, a cushion helmet or something if it just happens
Oh,
to strike.
no, no helmets, no nothing like that, but, I because I was good when I was, like, a teenager and everything. It wasn't until, uh, my adulthood and after children did these really big ones hit. I think the biggest one that I can think of was, and this was when after we moved to St. George, we moved here from Sandy. But I was blow drying my hair and I was completely dressed. I was wearing jeans, everything like that. And my middle child, Macy, was getting ready for school. And I was just like, I'll just hurry and blow dry my hair. I had a seizure and it was so bad that I knocked myself over, hit the toilet seat off with my head. But then it didn't stop it there. It the blow dryer got pinned up against my leg with like the hot part right against my leg. And so through the pants and everything else, my daughter, she even still feels terrible to this day about it. She's like, I should have known. And I said, you were five. It's just, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, it just I, am not cognitive, when it's happening. I think there's been 1 or 2 that have happened where I'm, like, a little bit awake, like, something's not right, but I can't speak. I
Oh
just
my gosh.
look, um, like, my husband has, like, talked to me, and I just look at him because it's just like I give him the look like, "What are you talking to me for? You know I can't speak." Kind of,
Oh my god.
it just when they first started when I was a teenager, they started like that with the static and, like, I would see shooting lights behind my eyes,
Oh my
and
god.
it was so weird. Um,
And
yeah,
how long did the one in the bathroom last? Did you do that
I
all on
don't
your own by yourself?
yeah, I don't know how long it lasted. A good minute to 3 minutes, it just depends.
Which feels like an eternity.
Yeah, for me
Holy
and
cow.
even more for my family. So I had 3 brain surgeries. So when the malformation would bleed onto the brain, it would leave like, um, the doctors would always call it, um, glitter on my brain because
Mm.
it was calcified iron. And so it would just stay on my brain and, they would actually they're like, "We can actually go in and resect the area and, not take it out, but just kinda clean it up and cauterize around it." I don't understand it. My husband does, but they had to do that 3 separate times and 1 after each child.
But how was
Cause like,
recovery after brain surgery? Was that horrible?
the first the first brain surgery, I remember being back at home. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll just" they just say rest. Of course, there's exercises that you need to do to make sure you're healthy and all of that. Um, but I remember trying to read a book because I love to read, and all I saw was, like, floating letters. Nothing, stuck. I
That's
can't
so
I
interesting
can't
because,
do
like,
this.
usually we think of, like, bones and ligaments and muscles healing, but not, like, the brain muscle.
First brain surgery, I asked the doctors, I said, "How much are you gonna need to shave my head? Just tell me, yes or no, so I know what to wake up with." And they said, "No, we'll have to just probably cut a little pathway around what we need, but we'll leave the rest of the hair." And I was like, "Okay, I can handle that. I can comb." comb over whatever
Yeah.
I need to. I can make it work, and so I went in just fine. I came out of it, and there's no way I'm gonna touch it because it was, like, cut all the way across my head. I
Oh
know that's
gosh.
probably kind of gross, but, um, anyway, my husband Phil didn't say anything. My family didn't say anything except for one brother, and he didn't come until in the evening after it had happened, and he's like, "Yes, you're so cool." And I was like, "For having brain surgery?" He's like, "No, you look like a samurai." And I'm like, "A samurai? What is a samurai?" He's like, "Yeah, bald in the front, party in the back."
Oh,
He's like trying to pump me up, make me feel better about it. Um,
but you hadn't
yeah,
even seen it yet.
no, no.
So they said they'd take a section, but didn't quite tell you that they'd shave the whole front part of your head. Is that right?
I no, nothing. They're like, "Oh yeah, just a little pathway." Um,
And then you wake up
they're
bald.
liars.
And you're not gonna
Nasty.
take the hair from the back and, like,
I
pull it
can't do
over.
that. That's just not gonna work, right? I looked over at Phil and he was looking at my brother going,
Yeah.
"Shut up." Like, but the recovery on that one was great.
Yeah.
The surgery of that one did not help much. Um, my 3rd brain surgery, 1st and 2nd brain surgery were fine. Didn't help much, either one. 3rd brain surgery, it was a little bit later. It was like almost 7 years later from the 1st surgery. That makes sense. Um, and so things had improved in the medical field. And so I had a really good neurosurgeon that did the 2nd and the 3rd, and I was just like, "I'm put all my trust in you," because he's a really good guy. He doesn't have much of a personality, um, but we're good. He forgot to tell us that I had had a stroke during surgery.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I woke up in the neuro ICU, and it's all glass walls, and so I could see right to the nursing station, and nobody was there. The beeper was on my left hand because 'cause I'm usually right-handed, right? So this hand was holding the beeper, and I was like, the buzzer, and so I was like, "I've gotta go to the bathroom," and I'm like, it's beeping, beeping, no nurses, nothing. So my husband wasn't there, he hadn't gotten into the room yet, and, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the 3rd one, it's not my first rodeo," cliche saying. I know which,
Yeah.
cords to unplug, what to do.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
still walk. And so I went and grabbed all the cords, and I went to go get out of the bed. And since my right side was prominent, I rolled over to just roll out of bed. My head hit the floor.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Um,
wait, you're right. It's like, what part what isn't working? Because I just thought it was your hand that wasn't working. I mean, your right arm.
my
Was
no, it's just, and then that's the thing, is partially paralyzed. Like I can lift it, and like I can wiggle fingers. And I can walk, I can drive because my left side's great. My right side, it's like partially paralyzed. So at that point though, my entire right side was completely paralyzed. Like I couldn't wiggle extremities on my right side. Nothing. No toes. And so I hit the floor. And the next thing I remember, I don't know how long it was until they came in, but I woke up, nurses, doctors all around my head. Um, they're rushing, and my husband was there, and he's just like, "Tess, don't move. It's okay. Everything's being taken care of. You're good. just hold real still." And I was like, "Why am I on the floor?" Really confused. So they were in there for a long time. Too long, too deep, right? And so, um, it nicked a blood vessel, caused a hemorrhage and a blood clot. Bills asks the like, nurses and everything around us, "What happened? Why can't she move her right side?" And, they're like, "Well, you'll need to talk to the doctor about that." And so, I am placed back into bed, and, um, the surgeon comes in with the MRI, slaps the X-ray up onto the X-ray box, and my husband just said, "Did she have a stroke?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, she had a stroke right over here, so we had," and he throws all this mumbo jumbo at us, and my husband was furious. He's like, "You didn't think to, like, tell us
Yeah.
beforehand."
Yeah, you're not gonna sue the hospital, but it would be courteous to say, "We're so sorry that this happened and that we were in there for too long and too deep." And I mean, did he give you any like, was he sorrowful? Did he give you any kind of courtesy like that?
That's kinda why I said he didn't have much of a personality. My kids, we just all laugh. They're not laughing at me, they were laughing with me, and I ask that they do,
Yeah.
because it's just like, I'm sure I look goofy trying to do things. I just remember, having dinner one night around the table, and we were talking. It was a Sunday night, and we were talking about what we had learned in church. And our youngest was talking about how she had lots of questions about life after death and what will we be like, what our bodies will be like, and um, we were explaining it to her, and and I, anyway, we started to, um, yeah. Oh, this is what it was. We were talking about roller coasters, and everybody's putting their arms up. I'm all, "Yeah!" And we all just started laughing, and it came back to the original conversation starter of what will look like after life is I will be able to raise both my hands high above my head kinda thing and run, and those kind of things you just
You hang on to.
you hang on to.
I was gonna say, what's been the hardest part about all of this? Both the seizures and having paralysis.
I think the hardest part, um, well, not being able to put my own hair in a ponytail very well yet. That's
Mm,
why I cut it off. No, I'm just kidding. But I think the hardest part has been, um, not being able to be as active as I used to be. Um, and it's not that I really care too much, about myself being active, but just active with my
with
kids.
your
Right now, I can't because I can't ride a two-wheeler, but I'll get there.
Yeah, you will. And what do you think has
Well,
been the blessing or the gift through it all?
oh gosh. Um, I remember one time I was really bitter afterward, and I was having a conversation with my bishop or my church leader, and I was just saying how angry I was, and I just like, why did you do this? Um, like, do I deserve it? But he said something to me that I was just kind of stopped me in my tracks and kind of like slapped me upside the head, kind of like, duh. but he said, "You chose this." And I just kinda took me back a second, and I said, "I chose this?" And he said, um and I thought he was talking about having the surgery in the first place. Um, and I said, "I had to have the surgery." He's like, "No, um, in the in this, you know, in the pre-earthly spirit life, before we came to heaven," he kind of explained it as, um, Heavenly Father and Jesus were just passing out, missions in life,
Mm,
right? And, in my head, all I'm seeing are these 2 heavenly beings reading off different, um, things that you'd have to go through, that people would have to go through life, and basically, who wants to do this one? Who
mm,
wants to do that? And when they came to mine, um, my bishop said, "You eagerly jumped at it because he knew that it was gonna be for you, because number 1, you're competitive, and number 2, you have such a strong spirit, and you can do this kind of thing." And so that's the that's the one thing that, has gotten me through all this is I chose it. But I chose it, and this is my mission on life, and it's just the best thing I've gotten out of it. Um, I just think is just to make the best out of everything.
I have to tell you guys that when I broke my wrist and I was totally, I mean, I was handicapped. I could not, I couldn't feel my fingers. I had nerve damage. It was like deformed because all the nerves were messed. And
Mm,
Des reached out and sent me this that I have never taken off. This little necklace here, but
I love
this
it.
it says it says faith and with a line and then fear, so meaning faith over fear. And I have never taken it off. And it doesn't tarnish because I'm like, oh my gosh, this must have been an expensive necklace because I just wear it in the shower. I wear it when I swim. You spent a lot of money on that. And like when I was having struggles with life, I'll catch myself doing this. And I'm just like rubbing it like it's my little charm. But I think about it, it's faith over fear, faith over fear, have more faith. Fear not, for I, the
Mhm.
Lord, am with you. That's our family motto. Be of good cheer, have no fear. And you blessed me, Des. You did. Because it's just like, look, I've been without an arm for 8 years. You can do this. I know what it feels like. I know how it feels to be one handed. I mean, my hair was well, I mean, it's still a hot mess, let's be honest. But like, I had my sisters fixing my hair. I had my sisters washing my hair. I was changing diapers one handed. I was putting Nico's boots and bar on one handed. And I thought about her all the time because she said, I'm a stroke survivor. I know I have been without the use of my right hand. Is it your right hand? I don't know if it's
Mhm.
backwards for years. And it was like I instantly perked up. I was instantly like, oh my gosh, like I'm not alone. There are other women doing this. And the difference was that my nerves healed after a year. And here you are still killing it. One with one arm, doing all the things you could have done, you did before, and probably better. Because it all means more, right? It all means more when it's that much more difficult to
Yeah,
accomplishment, I think. And
yeah,
you really,
it's personal. Don't curl my hair.
oh,
It's personal. It's
oh,
like a
interesting. Yeah.
personal accomplishment. Um,
Yes.
all the little things.
Well, you're killing it, Des. Keep it up.
Oh,
Like you're gonna inspire a ton of women here just because you're getting through it with humor and with
mhm.
purpose, and intention. And I am like honored to know you and that you sent me this. Thank you.
'Cause I had a really good friend that would come to the hospital, to the stroke rehab unit, and every single day she would put, either a quote or a picture or a positivity, something. And so I have to look for that picture, but I had 2 walls that were completely full of sayings and quote. And she would just come and she would stay and talk, or she would just come and some days she'd be like, "I'm so sorry, I can't come tomorrow or this day, we're going out of town, but I brought enough for those days." And
Oh
so
my
she would have
God.
my husband put those up for me. And so I have pictures of my walls, and she's so amazing. But this is one that, like, I go through every day
Mhm.
looking at. God gives us difficulties to bring out the best in us. And so it's just that's like my mantra for everything.
I
You
love
know, that's
that.
my saying,
Yeah.
my quote,
How long were
seeing
you with her?
Shanna, 30 days.
Well, thank you for doing this and for being vulnerable and talking about it. I wanna see
Yeah,
pictures. I wanna see, what she gave you. Um, so thank you for doing this. You're an inspiration.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. So are you.